Coming to myself, I'm Ahmad and I have a Java and Oracle trainer. I have 10 years of experience and I worked for IBM, Accenture, Tata Technologies, Hexaware, Capgemini, Cognizant and so on. I am into corporate trainings. So today I will give a demonstration on Oracle database. So we will be looking into Oracle SQL, pl-sql. Oracle, so pl-sql. So this is what we are looking into our session. So for now, I am going to take you towards an introduction towards this. So Oracle is a repository. It's a repository where you are going to store the data here. So data, for example, if you are maintaining your college website, assume your college website would be having the details like student data as well as staff data. So staff may be teaching staff, non-teaching staff also, and the courses offered by your college, courses offered, the various labs that are available, then suppose there are any sports activities, those activities, or any workshops that are conducted in your college, those things. So all these data is available in your college website. So this data is particularly stored in a repository, that is in the form of tables particularly here. So data is stored in the form of tables. Tables that too in rows and columns format. So if you open an Excel sheet, you can see rows and columns. So usually data was stored in files. Later on, when the database management system, DBMS, came into existence, data can be easily stored in DBMS and easily retrieved also. So that is retrieved in the sense fetched. So ultimately data is stored in tables, that is rows and columns format. So this is the basic database object where data is stored. There are various database management systems, so we call it as DBMS, that is database management system. So this is the program which helps in maintaining the data in the repository. So this database management system presently is an RDBMS, it is, that is relational database management system. So I told you data is stored in tables. So each table is known as relation, we say. So that is why we call them as relational database management system, as data is stored in tables. And data is stored in tables. Alright, data can be inserted. For example, a new student has joined the college. Then his data is to be inserted into the table, that is student table. Likewise, if a new staff has been recruited, then his data also has to be inserted into the table. So inserting the data, and so the thing is insert, fine. Then modifying the data, the inserted data, for example, the student phone number has been changed, then you have to modify that. So that is, you have to update that. So updating the data, update. Suppose the student has left. So when the student has left your college, assume we are deleting his data. Then we need to perform a delete. So deletion of the data. So we have to insert the data, modify the data, delete the data. Likewise, we need to pull the data, Arjun. Pulling the data or fetch the data, we call it as. So, all these are various operations that are performed on the student data that is stored in the repository. So here, to perform these operations, we need to communicate with the database. So the databases that are available in the market are Oracle. So Oracle is one database. Likewise, SQL Server, MySQL, DB2, Sybase, Inferdata, Postgres, Ingress, etc. All these are various relational database management systems that are available in the market. So among these, Oracle is widely used in the market. So Oracle is a product from Oracle Corporation. So likewise, SQL Server is from Microsoft. So MySQL is also from Oracle Corporation itself. DB2 is from IBM, sorry. Sybase is from Sybase organization. So likewise, Infodata and Postgres, Ingress are from their appropriate vendors. So here, this MySQL particularly is an open source database which is freely available. You don't need to pay for the license to use this MySQL database. So Oracle, so the IT industry, around 70% of the IT market is using Oracle to store their data. So here, okay, data is stored in any one of these RDBMS, then that data has to be operated, that is inserted, pulled, fetched, modified, these things. To perform these operations, we need to have a language. So a language. That language is nothing but SQL, we call it as. That is structured query language. So with the help of this SQL, we are able to perform these operations. That is inserting the data, modify the data, delete the data, pull the data. So these are the various operations that can be performed using a language known as SQL. This SQL can also be called as SQL. So some others call it as SQL. Some others call it as SQL. So both means the same. So we are exploring that SQL in our upcoming sessions. So SQL, as well as we are going to explore pl-sql also. pl-sql. So under SQL, we will be looking into various commands. So DDL commands, DML commands, TCL commands, then data retrieval and DCL. So these are the various commands. So what these DDL commands are? So they are data definition language. So data definition language. Data manipulation language. Data manipulation language. Then transaction control language. Transaction control language. Then data retrieval language. Data retrieval language. Likewise, data control language. So these are the various sub-languages that are available in SQL. the database in the form of tables. So those tables can be created, and so I just mentioned here student table. So it is holding student information like student roll number, student name, then student course, then student contact. So these are the information about the student data, student. So here such a kind of student table can be created, and that created table can be modified. For example, I need to add an email ID, and I can do that. Email ID. So here that is modified, altered, we say, create. Mean student table can be altered. Suppose I want to remove this table from the database, we can drop that. Suppose I want to remove the entire data that is present in my student table. Assume there are 100 student details. I want to remove them for some purpose. All the student data I have to remove. Then I can truncate it. So all these are the various things you can do using DDL language. So DDL commands we say. So DDL queries. So here we call them as commands or queries we say. Queries. So data manipulation language. Alright. I have created one student table. Now I need to perform these operations. That is insert. So update, delete, you can see and I have highlighted it. So those operations can be done using DML language. So you can insert a new record. So here new student information. For example,
so what is the difference between delete and truncate? You said that to delete all the data in the table. So delete, what is the difference between delete and truncate?
So the thing is, with delete, if you delete a data, for example, you are deleting 5 rows. That 5 rows can be rolled back, can be undone. Whereas truncated data cannot be undone.
Okay.
So here, undoing things come across this TCL, we say. So transaction control language, that is commit, rollback. So here, this rollback is nothing but undoing. So whatever the deleted data can be undone with the help of rollback, whereas truncated data cannot be undone. That is the major difference. And with the delete, you can delete some portion of data by using where clause. Whereas with truncate, you are going to truncate entire data.
Okay.
So here, transaction control language. So transaction control language instance, whatever the query you are going to write is nothing but a transaction. So here inserting a new student information is a transaction. Likewise, modifying the student email ID is also a transaction. So transaction represents a single unit of work. So that transaction can be controlled using commit, rollback, save point. So these are the 3 things which we are going to explore. So commit in the sense, for example, you are modifying the data of a student, then that modified data has to be permanently stored in the database. So that is, you have to commit that data. So committing in the sense, making the changes permanent to the database. Rollback, as I told you, I can undo some operations. And save point is something like you are going to bookmark a transaction. I want to undo few things only in my transaction. So those things can be controlled using save point. Of course, we will explore all these in our upcoming sessions. Then data retrieval language. That is, I want to pull the data. So I have written here pulling the data or fetch the data from the database. So that pulling data or fetching the data is done using data retrieval language, particularly select statement. So I say they are commands, queries, also we can call it as statements. So select statement is generally used to pull the data. Then data control language. So data control language talks about granting some permissions on the database objects to other users. For example, we are users. So user 1, user 2 who are using the database. So user 1 has some tables assume and he has to share those tables to user 2. Then he can allow his objects, that is database objects, tables, to be used by other users, and used in the sense he can restrict the user usage. So he can allow his tables to be used by other users only to read the data, not write the data, not modify the data. And such permissions can be given on tables from one user to other using grant command. So the given permissions can be removed by using revoke. So these are the grant and revoke commands seen in data control language. So along with this, we will be seeing database objects. So the various database objects like views, sequences, synonyms, indexes, clusters, etc. So all these various database objects we are going to explore in our SQL. So along with these joins, subqueries, functions, operators. So these are the various things that we see in our SQL. So when we go to pl-sql, so pl-sql is like adding programming language concepts to your SQL. So programming language concepts in the sense, maybe you might have seen the C programming language. So we have control structures over there, that is if condition, if else, nested if, loops, for loop, while loop. So all these control structures are seen in pl-sql. So PL stands for procedural language extension to SQL, we call it as pl-sql in the sense procedural language extension to our SQL, which we have studied here. So to go through pl-sql, we definitely need SQL. So without the knowledge of SQL, you cannot go through pl-sql. So SQL is mandatory. And here we are focusing on ANSI Standard SQL. ANSI Standard SQL. So the thing is, I told you that there are various databases here. I am selecting these databases. So as there are n number of databases that are available in the market, so do we need to learn all the databases? The thing is, if you are familiar with one database like Oracle particularly, then it is easy to understand the things that are related the other databases, because we are learning ANSI Standard SQL. So my SQL Server, MySQL, DB2, Sybase, Infodata, Postgres, Ingress, all these relational database management systems also have SQL in it. So the same SQL which we are learning is an ANSI Standard SQL. so which has some standards. So if you are familiar with SQL, particularly with Oracle, then it is easy to understand SQL Server and so on databases. So here there are very few minor changes to these database SQLs where we can easily figure out. So in our upcoming sessions, wherever there is a possibility, I will compare Oracle with MySQL database. So MySQL is an open source product. So wherever there is a chance, I am going to compare this MySQL with our Oracle. Then I was talking about a pl-sql. So we have control structures, then blocks. So blocks, types of blocks. So there are anonymous blocks and named blocks. Then functions, procedures, packages, triggers, cursors, pl-sql, collections, we say collections. So all these are various things we will explore in pl-sql. So these are contents or topics which we are going to explore in our upcoming sessions. So for now, let me show you a simple example of creating some table and inserting the data. So here I am using Oracle 11G Express Edition. So this is of 300 plus size, that's it, 300 MB of size, which is weightless. We can download it for free and we can install it. The installation also is very easy process. So I already have Oracle environment in my laptop, and I am opening it. So when you click on Start menu and all programs, you can see Oracle Database 11G Express Edition. So in this you have to click on Get Started. So there is a link here, Get Started. Once you click on this Get Started, it opens a browser and opens this home page. I have already opened for you. So in this you have to click on Application Express and log into Oracle environment. So system, and with password I am logging in. So system is the super user which is already available with Oracle environment. Then we can create our own user also here. So I am going to show you how to create a user. So database username. So for example, user 8. So I already have various users here. So I just give user 8 here. And Application Express username. So you can use the same user 8 and password. Then confirm password. Then click on create workspace. It means we are creating our own workspace where we are creating the tables and database objects in this particular user account. So once you click on create workspace, a user account would be created with the name user 8. You can see here, successfully created workspace for user 8 account. Now I need to log in with my new user account which I have created. Click here to log in and give the password here. I am logging in. So SQL workshop, you need to click on this, and particularly SQL commands, because we are going to look into SQL commands. So this is the editor where you are going to execute your SQL queries. So here I am going to create an employee table. So here create. So create is a command. So create table and my employee table is having some fields, some columns. So rows and columns I told you table data is stored in. So employee number. Employee number is holding numbers with it. So we can use a data type with it, number. And we can also give some size which can hold 4 digits in it, number. Then name, which is holding characters. So particularly varying characters, varchar 2 we say, maybe 20 size. So you can give a name of 20 characters. Then contact, that is number, which can hold 10 digits. Location, which is of varchar 2. Then gender, which is character, and I am going to give a single character over there, male or female. So here I am going to mention the size. So size 1 character, and date of birth, so which is date. So this is my table. I am going to create this table. So you can see here, click on run button. You can see one table is created. I can show you the table which has been created. So I am going to describe the table and show the structure of the table. Describe the table employee. So here every statement is terminated by a semicolon, similar to C programming. Yes. You can see here, I have just executed that command. The employee is my table, and you can see the columns and their data types and their size, which I just created. So employee number with number data type, which can hold 4 digits in it. So this is how we describe the table and look at the structure of the table. Now I am going to insert some data into my employee table. So insert some information into my employee table. So I am making use of the DML command here. Insert into what? Employee table. What? Some values I am going to insert, values. And look that every command is terminated by semicolon. I am getting inside and I am going to give some information. So employee number. So employee number may be 1000. Then employee name. So here employee name Praveen. So I gave a name over there, and contact number. So maybe some fancy number. Then location. So maybe India. Then gender. So male. So comma. So you can see all the values are given comma separated, and date of birth. So maybe 1804 1990. So I just give a date of birth here. If you observe here, I have given a number, that is employee number, and name in single quotes. Likewise, gender in single quotes, date of birth in single quotes. So character type of data and date type of data should be given in single quotes. I am executing this. Column not allowed here. Something, let me check. Okay. I have to insert into employee values. Alright. So employee number, name, then contact, then location. Oh, Location is a character type of data, so I need to enclose in single quotes. I missed it. Then gender, alright. So let me execute this. So not a valid month. So I need to give in zero 4. I'm just changing the pattern over there. KD, DD. So these are the various patterns. So I give month, date, year. So Oracle database by default accepts so month, date, year format. So here one employee information is inserted into my employee table. You can see. So likewise I can insert another employee information. I'm just copy pasting this file. So maybe employee number is 1002 and employee name Geeta. Contact number maybe 777. So gender is female and date of birth assume it is something and I am just executing this query. To execute that query, select it, click on run. So another employee information is inserted.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, can we insert data into multiple tables at one shot?
Yes, of course we have that also.
Okay.
So insert into values. So these values you will be giving different values. So there are various flavors of insertion into the table. So as of now, at the beginning, I'm just inserting one record over there, one row information.
You will be telling that, no? Okay.
Yes, of course. The various flavors of insert also will be doing.
So I'm looking at majorly at various flavors of all the query types. The whole I'm looking at the various flavors, not only for insert for all the types of queries. What are the different flavors we can do?
So whatever the possible things are available, we will be handling.
Okay.
Now I'm going to show you the data that is present in my employee table. So select operation I told you, select star from my employee table. Star represents all the information. You can see here 2 employee information has been inserted and that is displayed here. So this star represents all the columns. If you want, you can mention only very few columns also. So by just mentioning the column names over there. So I just display employee number, name, location, that's it. And I can execute this and display only that information. So you can see over there only 3 columns information, employee name, name, location. So if you want to display all the information, you will be going for star over there. So that's about a simple creation of a database object, particularly table, then followed by inserting the data into the table.
Even using select, we can get data from multiple tables now.
Of course, by using joins.
Okay, you will be telling that. Okay.
Yeah, I already highlighted the various things that we are looking into, joins, subqueries, so on. So that's about inserting some data into database and pulling the data and displaying. So with this I am going to wind up my session.
So you will tell the roll up and roll down, there are some commands, no?
Yes.
Loops and all that.
In functions, we call them as analytical functions.
So you'll be telling that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, analytical functions. So there are various types of functions over there, aggregate functions.
And these
Correct.
objects and all database objects, can we know? So I don't know anything about databases actually. So you will be the architecture from a whole database architecture point of view. You will just tell, you'll just explain what is the architecture of a database and what are objects. What are objects really mean? I don't know about that.
Of course, we will be exploring the database objects like views. I have mentioned here views,
Yeah.
sequences, synonyms, indexes, clusters, and so on with examples.
Mm-hmm.
And database architecture, I will throw some light on it. Actually,
Yeah,
that is for a
yeah.
database administrator, which I
Okay.
don't include generally. If you are interested, I will just throw some light
Yeah,
on
just
database
throw
architecture.
some light so that it will be, yeah.
Yeah, sure.